All right, welcome to the T Row Show. It's your host, Keith. We got a lot to talk about today, so we're going to be going through it. I always get started right away, so here we go. We have an issue with SPLC again, obviously, because they are not upstanding people. Anybody that has any type of view that is different from theirs, they like to attack those. Get Morris Dees and they got another guy. I can't remember. Morris Dees and Joseph, I think. Joseph J. Levine were the guys who basically started this thing. And essentially, what their business model is put out scary stories so SPLC can fight them and fight for human rights and civil rights. And people give them money to do that. They got up over 200 million in 1 year. And this was the time when Hillary thought she was getting in 2016. You know, she didn't have to go over and do anything, just like Biden did, and he didn't even have to leave the basement to get in there. Everybody obviously knows why, and everybody knows the truth. Okay. Um, the issue with them is they're extremely manipulative, and they say things that are just flat out false. Their earlier model was a little bit better because they weren't so obvious about it. They would just say things that were just blatantly hateful. And they had to change that. They had to change that model. And when you talk about SPLC, I'm talking about Southern Poverty Law Center. It is not a group of people that helps people that don't have money. Okay, the name is there to fool you. These boys are all into the and money. That's it. Money, money, money. That's all they talk about. That's all they do. And they push the left agenda. They push the open border. They push the immigrant thing. They push all that. They're right there in line with the Democratic Party. At one time, when we went after them with the Human Rights Tribunal, we went after Morris Dees and Joseph Levine because of what they've done, which is violate every human right that ever existed. They moved them into the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice came in and covered them. I believe it was one lawyer covering another lawyer, but that's what I believe doesn't matter to a certain extent. I believe it was Joseph Levine. I can't remember. I do have a show about them a long time ago in the T Row Show. By the way, this is the second half T Row Show, and I believe it's number 8. I'm gonna have to go find out for sure because I don't want to be um, stating the wrong information. Okay, it is correct. I did forget, folks. This is the second half, number 8. Now, the reason why this is even coming up is we generally have left them alone since Morris Dees and those guys have left because Morris Dees was the biggest piece of crap I think I've ever seen as a human being. That boy definitely needed Jesus. Okay. He had lived in like I don't know, a $20 million mansion, stuff like that. That boy didn't care anything about poverty or help anybody. It was just a scam that was going on. And they're under the tutelage of Hillary Clinton and Soros, who was funding them. He was the one that was funding this. And it was a good little investment that they had because they used to come to the defense of the U.S. all the time, the United States. And they would say that you guys are radicals and you're against the United States. And they would put in all their thing. You're against federal law. You don't think you're subject to federal law and all this kind of stuff. It would go like this for a long time. This organization has been around since 1971. And I believe Joseph was the one that was blowing up federal buildings. or they emulated a man that did. Okay, they were following them. So these are some radical dudes. They are very anti-federal, but they go and they're very anti-U.S., which a lot of people don't realize. I can say that with clean conscience, not a problem. So what they do is this: they have an article about us about the Reign of the Heaven Society, and it's all of it's a complete lie. But they do what you call forced association. Okay, and it's a violation of human rights. They do a forced association in their writings. They violate human rights and what's involved there. And let me just read this to you. Two groups held common law hearings that were accessible to the public. The Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly held theirs in the city park, while Reign of the Heaven Society conducted theirs online. Okay, now why is that so bad? The reason why that's so bad is because the Reign of the Heaven Society never conducted common law courts. Weren't even close to doing that. That's it. The Reign of the Heaven Society never held courts. Now they're calling it fake, but it says these fake courts based on the old British legal system. We never did that. The Reign of the Heaven Society never did it. Usually involved individual grievances or grievances against the government brought forth by the plaintiffs. And the most often, the court's grand jury assigns guilt and punishment. It's not true. A great jury doesn't do that. We had a great jury, and it had nothing to do with the Reign of the Heaven Society. You want to know why? Because the Reign of the Heaven Society was done away with in 2017. We turned that into a temple. It's a religious organization. You would see it as a religious organization. Let's put it that way. Okay. Or it would be defined that way in the US. But that's the only category they have. They don't have a category in the US for true believers, okay, or followers of the way. So the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, which we had nothing to do with and didn't really agree with any of them, brought the Oregon Department of Education up on charges in its fictitious court. Reign of the Heavens charged the Satanic Temple leader with war crimes, stating that the punishment could be up to and including death. Reign of the Heaven Society never did that. And then here, this is where they forced associate the Oregon Statewide Jural Society with the Reign of the Heaven Society. And then they associate it with Winston Strout and David Straight. Now, Winston Strout went to jail. We never followed that guy. That guy was unbelievable. He used to do things that either that or he figured out their money system and they didn't like it. They figured out how the communist organizations were operating when they hijacked the U.S. Oh, by the way, did I tell you that? Yes, the U.S. has been hijacked by a lot of these groups, by the left. The whole U.S. so-called government corporation has been hijacked by the Clintons, Schumer, Pelosi, all those people. Okay, Pelosi was the one behind January 6th. Everybody knows that, I think. She was the one that planned, and her and Schumer planned the whole thing. And we tried to tell people, don't go there. This is going to be a trap. And I'm thinking, Trump, you're an idiot. And Alex Jones, you're a moron. Why are you guys going to Washington? You never go to Washington and do that. These people are going to lie no matter what. So you just stop, supporting them. That's all you do. Stop giving them things and you'll be fine. But, I know how you guys are. It said here, the two organizations utilize the seminar and product sales model that has been hallmark of the sovereign citizen movement perfected by sovereign citizen Winston Strout. Okay, Winston Strout never actually got into that. And the American Meeting Group is run by a sovereign citizens, David Straight, co-founder Robert Williams. Now, we don't know who David Straight is. I think that guy's CIA. That's just me. Just because I think it doesn't mean it's true. He stole a lot of information from a lot of people and then started putting it together. And I think he just got arrested, I don't know, about 6 months ago or something like that for what he was doing. The American States Nationals, that's a study guide and university, is run by David Straight along with Bobby Lawrence, who campaigned to represent Pennsylvania in the U.S. Senate in 2018 on American First mega platform. All that is I think is a lie. Straight and Lawrence crisscrossed the country in 2022, speaking to groups and hundreds of at $100 a ticket. Okay, well, here's the thing. Southern Poverty Law Center did the same thing, but they did it towards cops. Now, this is what happened. What they did was is around 2010, SPLC came up with this whole thing of sovereign citizens based on this one guy who would hoard out the death of his son. Okay, now I'll show you what I mean by that. This dude was a piece of work, unbelievable piece of work. Okay, here it is. All right, this guy right here, he learned how the banking system worked. The older guy. Okay, he's been arrested a few times because he was beating ticket, or I'm sorry, mortgages in the courts. They didn't like that guy. Okay, and he was teaching his son. Now, I believe he did raise his son to protect his dad to a certain to a certain extent. But all we were doing was it was just all that was going on was a traffic stop. That's all it was to it. And of course, they killed him. They were all proud of themselves because they killed, I think it was a 16-year-old kid. That's him on the ground dead. Okay. Sovereign citizen Kane. This is when it really started coming out. Joe Kane were members of a rapidly growing radical right movement that may now be 300,000 strong. Okay, now that's going to kill a lot. That's going to get a lot of people killed. This right here, as to what SPLC did. See this right here? This was his son. And when they got pulled over, they took the father behind the car, and his son jumped out with an AK-47 and shot one of the cops. Okay. One of the cops just happened to be a son of a chief. And I don't know if I can find the guy's picture. I'll see if I can do that here in a second. But that he killed him. Now, that wasn't cool. Nobody advocated for anybody shooting and murdering anybody like that. No one ever advocated for it. But that cop's father, he has this whole video and how poor it is and how dangerous these people really are. And when you do, when you make mistakes, it costs you your life. And then he says, they go through a video where a guy opens up his trunk and he kind of jumps a little bit. Oh, watch out. There may be a gun in there. He really, really sells this to these cops and scares the crap out of them. And what he does is he turns them into political assassins. That's what they did to me. It was Southern Poverty Law Center that was behind it. It was extremely dangerous as to how they were doing things because they were getting people killed that had nothing to do with what was going on with this idiot here, Citizen Kane and his son. This was a traffic stop. And you see, just one simple traffic stop. Oh, and by the way, the car was registered to a church. Oh, no. So it brings in these crazy Jesus Christ followers. And this is how they got people against religion and how this whole movement has been pushed towards hating Jesus and hating the Christians and all those folks. These people were almost the key to it all. Cop killers, Jerry and Joe Kane, were members of a rapidly growing, see, cop killer. This is what Morris Dees did. We got him on some human rights violations, and they did leave. The chief, if I can remember the guy's name, the chief of police, whose son got killed, he hoarded out his son for money. By the way, his son's death, and then went to Canada and started spreading the same thing, and that's when we went after him for human rights violations. But it wasn't the Reign of the Heaven Society; it was the government of the United States of America. And what they do is they bypass that and say it's the Reign of the Heaven Society that's doing it. So they're using that name to make money. They use everybody's name so they get donations. It's about the money, guys. It's always about the money. That's the way it works. So here's the idiot. He's out now, by the way. He's out. He's out of they got rid of him because he's corrupt. They shot this van full of holes. All right. And then they pulled his son out that they killed and then put him in handcuffs. Oh, that's the right thing to do. Now, here's a lot of here's Winston Strout and then David Windmiller and Timothy Turner. Here's some other guys. And they put all these guys together. They lump them together as to who they are and what they do. And everything they claim is untrue. And what I've seen in a lot of these groups, there's the idiot, Bob Powdert. This guy here sold his son out, man. The death of his son. And he gets up in front of groups, right? And this is my son. And these sovereign citizens, and it's all about sovereign citizens. When basically a lot of the cops have been killed by communists. We've been telling them that for years. So we're telling the cops, hey guys, Chief Bob Powdert's lying to you. Okay. This only happened one time. So they take that one incident that happened with Kane and then turn it around to where they grabbed a whole group of people and they started calling them sovereign citizens instead of, guess what? Republicans, the right. It was a scam run by the left against the right. So they could go in and take over Congress and start pushing their whole crap. I call it crap. They were instrumental. Let me see if I can find this. They were instrumental in changing a lot of little laws. Okay, they were. Here, let me get this one. There we go. All right. This was a leadership upheaval amid harassment allegations. Okay. In March 2019, the SPLC fired founder Morris Dees in undisclosed reasons, removed his bio from his website. In a statement regarding the firing, the SPLC announced it would be bringing in an outside organization to conduct a comprehensive assessment of our internal climate and workplace practices. Well, no, that's not exactly what happened. What they did is they got rid of him and then put in a guy or somebody who's actually worse, who doesn't even do any research on anything that they do. Okay, what was that? SPLC, including Dees, resign. All right. And here's this. In 2011, the SPLC was involved in a high-profile state fight. So they put this stuff in there, but they're not really involved in this unless the U.S. wants them involved. Basically, Hillary. All right, including the battle over the Georgia House Bill 87, SPLC joined with the ACLU, the Asian Law Caucus, and the National Immigration Center in June 2011 to file a lawsuit challenging HB 87, which resulted in a permanent injunction in 2013 blocking multiple provisions of the law. Now, what that was it was the Georgia law Can you guys let me know if the page change or changes, or if it doesn't? Okay, so the Georgia House bill, official title, Illegal Immigration Reform and Enforcement Act of 2011, is an anti-illegal immigration act passed by the Georgia General Assembly on April 14th, 2011, and signed into law by Georgia Governor Nathan Deal on May 13th, 2011. Now, it took effect on the July 1st of that year. The law was authorized by Peachtree City Republican State Representative Matt Ramsey and was partly based on the Arizona SB 1070 bill that had passed the previous year. Now, basically what it does is this, is it requires businesses in Georgia with more than 10 employees to use E-Verify to verify that prospective employees are eligible to work in the United States legally. The bill allows police in the state to attempt to determine the immigration status of some suspects. It also makes an intentional transportation of undocumented immigrants while a crime and being committed punishable by a fine of $1,000 in prison sentence up to 1 year. All right. Now, why would SPLC try to stop this? Because they're a part of it and they don't want to get convicted. They're a part of it. They don't want to be fined $1,000 per person and up to a year in jail. That's why these organizations do this, because they're a part of it. Anybody who's fighting for, it says, in addition, it punishes undocumented workers convicted of using fake identification to gain employment with up to 15 years in prison and up to a $250,000 fine. Well, SPLC doesn't want to go to jail for this. They don't want the $250,000 fine. So what do? They take a bunch of this, and a bunch of people, Asian Law Caucus, National Immigration Law Center, all that, and then it results in a permanent injunction in 2013 blocking multiple provisions of the law. So would anybody think that a little organization or a giant one, because they're in the hundreds of millions now, would have an effect on the southern border opening up? Who would ever think the SPLC was behind that? The same people that have put the whole right. So this some kind of hate group, or this is what they do, and they're dangerous and they murder people. When in fact hasn't happened at all. I remember, okay, it's the same. They tried this, and this is what happened with the COVID deal. Okay, so they tried this, and this is what they did. They would, if somebody was murdered, the man was automatically a sovereign citizen. If criminals stole cars, well, those two sovereign citizens did that. So they started to force associating all these people. None of those people had anything to do with anything, because everybody knows sovereign citizens don't exist. Okay. There was a group back in 1972 that called themselves sovereign citizens. That was it. Nobody else was even called themselves that or referred to themselves. What they were doing is they were finding out what was going on and what the criminals were doing in government. They started realizing, hey, this sucker's been hijacked and we got a problem here. So they became the Southern Poverty Law Center is the most anti-US organization you could possibly imagine, because they're funded by Soros. Mainly. They hate the United States, but they always act like they come to their defense. They always act like they're on the side of the police, and the police believe them. So I said to them in 2011, or when the T-Rose show started coming out later on, I said, look, guys, the police, I told the cops, you guys are going to start getting murdered. They will come right up behind you and start shooting you in the head. And I said this for years, like 2 or 3 years. I said, you got to watch yourselves, quit falling for this crap that SPLC is putting out and the Department of Justice is putting out. They're both criminal organizations. I said, stop doing that. Guess what happens? George Floyd comes in. He dies on the street. He's apparently murdered by a police officer, but there is other facts. There are other facts there that never came out. And they come out and they start murdering police officers, just like I told them what's going to happen. Y'all needed to get rid of SPLC. It's a communist organization, and communists kill police. It happened to them once, and they cashed out big time in the millions of one death. They even sent that chief to Canada once we got him on human rights violations. And he had what? International due process. But it wasn't a common law court, it was a human rights tribunal. They didn't expect anybody to do that. Our human rights tribunal came out in 2015. After that, all people did was talk about human rights for about 3 to 5 years. That's all they talked about. This country had never even heard of it. Judges never even heard of the UDHR. Now they have a bunch of propaganda coming out that the UDHR was there to help the New World Order get things set up. It's there actually to help them. So now they're trying to associate that with the New World Order and the one world government, and of course they're gonna get that across. So nobody has any kind of human rights or anything to refer to them, to having any rights at all. Okay. Now here's another thing: SPLC profiles, Fourth Amendment violation, anti-Constitution, anti-Bill of Rights, anti-U.S. They hate the flag. They're all their reports are all Fourth Amendment violations, every one of them. They profile people, absolutely not. They profile organizations. They do all that stuff, and it's just to make money. That's all it is. But who would know that this influx at the border, southern border, was mainly the fault of SPLC? They're gonna go after Biden. Biden can barely get out of the bathroom, okay, or even know where he is. It's not him doing it. It's people like Obama and SPLC, Hillary, all those people are doing this. Now, why are they doing it? It's because Pelosi tells you right away, okay? She tells you exactly what's going on. Pelosi picks crops line shows how Democrats betrayed the working class. Okay? So she's saying we need to get these people settled and send them down Florida so they can pick oranges, they can pick crops. Why does Pelosi care where these people go? Because we don't have enough workers. No, we all have our own businesses, Pelosi, and you use your seat in Congress to run your business. You've made your position your own little private enterprise. Now, how do they do that? It's simple. I've told people about it before, and here it is again. How many orange groves has she invested in? How many shares has she invested in oranges? The orange crop this year. She's got to get those people down there because she personally has a bunch of money in it. A bunch of money involved. That's how this woman's has made her money ever since she's been in Congress. They deal with the stock market every single day. They get shares of companies. They can't give them cash, but they get shares of companies to get certain legislation off the table that will hurt a company. So that company will offer shares to them, and then they'll say, oh, okay, well, that legislation just doesn't seem to be working very well today, so we'll just go ahead and let it go. They've been threatening companies for years so they can personally get paid. That's what Pelosi's been doing her whole life. Why do you think the woman's so messed up? Her conscience is completely torn to pieces, and she's a wino. She gets high on wine every day. By the afternoon, she's drunk because she can't live with herself. And this goes on all through Congress all the time. And Southern Poverty Law Center got a piece of it. They figured out what we're just going to play the game, and all these right wing extremists, they call them. Right wing is, you mean I think that my child should not have to be raped in school? or associated with sex all day long, that makes me a right-wing extremist. Is that what you're saying? That I don't want a child to be raped or murdered or the blood drank from them. Oh, I'm sorry, that was conspiracy theory, right? The same conspiracy theory, which was when I was sitting in the back of the cop car going to jail, he lifts up my IDs and says, "You want to murder my children." I was like, "Who the hell are you?" That's what I told him. I said, "I don't even know who you are. What the hell are you talking about?" And the profile, which they violated the Fourth Amendment, the profile they gave, what came from whom? SPLC. So those get on your permanent record on their side. You become a part of a extremist organization. That's what they do. Okay. Their records are all false. About 80% of the profiles that they have are all political profiles. I'm talking about FBI. They don't have any basic evidence for them. This is all about crops, shares. This is not about policy or political. Pelosi just doesn't want to be taken out of office so she can still make her money. She's addicted to it. The same with Schumer and everybody else. They're all addicted to that crap. They're addicted to using the offices that are public offices for their own private gain. And it's not about getting reelected. It has nothing to do with that. Someone in there has control of the voting. Someone has that. And whoever has control of the votes to get them into office are the people that need to be found. And I don't think, no matter what has happened, I don't think anybody's found them yet. The people that are absolutely behind controlling the votes of the people. What I mean by is someone hijacks your vote. Whatever vote you have, like if you want to be a U.S. citizen and think that your vote counts, you go in there and you vote. Somebody's hijacked those votes. I still don't know who they are, and I don't think their name has ever come forward. It could be that family that the Pope was kissing their ring and all that, and kissing their butt all day. There was a video of it, him doing that. Okay, so there's got to be somebody behind that, and that's the little sucker that's pulling all the strings. And if there's research on it, maybe we can find out who it is and get them exposed. But I don't think Dominion voting machines had anything to do with it. I don't think the owner of Dominion voting machines had anything to do with it. It was somebody else. It could be the Pentagon. Who's kissing butt there. It could be London. It could be the Vatican. But someone's pulling the strings, and it's whoever believes that there's that the southern borders need to be open. The only one I know that publicly said it should be done would be Francis. Francis was the one that, and then all of a sudden, all these people that are pro, border open, got into office that year, so nobody would try to stop it. I thought that was interesting. Or a coincidence. Let's put it that way. Okay, so here's some of this is what has happened. With Southern poverty. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and restart this, make sure it changed. This is a Alliance Freedom, Defending Freedom. I don't think that they've really gone into the depth of what they are, because these guys don't care who they kill. SPLC could care less who they kill, who they get destroyed, whatever. They just want anybody that doesn't agree with them dead. It's as simple as that. I have always looked over my shoulders since that time, and had to, because of what they did. Because I was on that profile, they stalked me for 9 months until I just had to disappear. They were trying to push me into suicide, is what they were trying to do. It didn't work. I wouldn't do that. I'll never commit suicide. I have no will to do that. Never will. So, if something happens to me and they say, "Oh, he committed suicide," that's the law. That's a lie. Okay, big time lie. Now, according to its website, the SPLC wants to dismantle white supremacy. Now, now the white supremacy, right? If you're a white supremacist is if you're white. That's what they've done now. It went from you don't even have to be a part of the KKK, which was started by the same people that started SPLC and everybody else, the same type of people. Democrats back in the early 1900s started the Ku Klux Klan. Same exact people. Okay. Now, strengthen intersectional movements and advance the human rights of all people. Absolute, complete lie. But some high ranking employees have made statements that contradict these stated goals. SPLC senior fellow, I call him a senior fellow. When you ever see the senior fellow, that's a Mason. Okay. Mark Potok, if they call themselves senior fellows, which is interesting that even comes up because why would SPLC be run by Masons? Gee, I don't know. Who formerly served as an editor-in-chief for the SPLC's intelligence report, said sometimes the press will describe us as monitoring hate crimes and so on. I want to say plainly that our aim in life is to destroy these groups and completely destroy them. Like I said, they want you dead. That's a death threat. You see how they are? Southern Poverty Law Center is a political organization that uses police to kill, to politically assassinate citizens. That's what they do. That's who they are. They're an assassination organization. They're into murdering people. How many people need to die to justify this chief's death, the son's death? Seriously? You're going to take one incident like that and now everybody else has to die? That's a sick organization and they get funded a lot for it. All right, SPLC has never renounced this statement. I want to say plainly that our aim in life is to destroy these groups. The groups they're talking about all advocate for human rights, children not being associated with sex all the time, every day, at school and everywhere else. Leave the kids alone. Let them learn. Let them have their time, as their childhood. Quit trying to rape them all the time. All that kind of thing. Okay, if SPLC truly sought to dismantle groups that promote reprehensible ideas, that would be an honorable goal. The problem is that often the hate group label simply refers to a group that disagrees with SPLC on political issues. It is that simple. I agree completely with what they're saying. That's what they do. They're a communist organization. It says instead of engaging in meaningful debate with groups like ADF and FRC and SPLC, just wants to destroy groups with differing beliefs. This goal is not helpful for our society, which desperately needs institutions that will foster real dialogue about important issues. It also represents a lack of respect for human dignity for those who disagree with what? Southern Poverty Law Center. And I'm trying to tell people who they are. And they do radicalize big time. They radicalize cops and sheriffs with their Fourth Amendment violation of profile. And this is why I started bringing up some of those other ones. I was very happy that they started enforcing that in the courts, that that was a way to actually fight organizations like this, SPLC. that are radical assassins. That's what they do. If you look at SPLC, it's a radical assassination organization, whether they're going to assassinate your character or simply kill you. They tried to kill me once. They had 25 cars around the house. They had SWAT down the road, all for something they didn't even have jurisdiction on. And it was admitted by the probation officer. She said, they don't have jurisdiction over you. She's a political science major. She knew what I did. Okay. And she goes, they don't have that. And the prosecutor ignored it. Why? Because he had SPLC covering. He didn't want to go against those boys because they would have came out with all the crap he's been doing. That's what they do, folks. They control people by the sins that they have committed. All right, so ADF, it says, what has Southern Poverty Law Center said about Alliance Defending Freedom? It says ADF advocates for constitutionally protected freedoms, including the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, sometimes like in the cases of Jack Phillips and Lori Smith. This means the freedom to decline to express messages that violate your deeply held beliefs. Now, Jack and Lori are happy to serve anyone, including those who identify as LGBT. They simply don't want to be forced to express messages that violate their beliefs. Any ADF client who has declined a custom create art for a customer has always done so based on the message requested and never based on the person requesting it. Nonetheless, SPLC has chosen to ignore this truth, falsely accuse ADF of bigotry. Now, I know why they're going after ADF. This is what they do, SPLC. If you don't support us, we're going to take you down. If you don't give us money, we're taking you down. This is how they get donations. It's like a pro-mafia organization. They say, okay, you don't believe in what we do, you don't support us, but since you don't give us money, then we know that you're on the other side. But they hide it really well, and people don't see it. They don't see what they are. Pro-mafia, you don't support us, we're going to take you out. Pro-political communism, if you don't believe in what we believe, we're going to take you out. And the only way that we know that you don't believe it or you don't believe the way we believe is because you don't give us any money to support us. If you give us donations, then we'll go ahead and forgive you and see that you've turned around. You've changed your ways. They use the cops to do this. Every once in a while, they'll take out an opponent. And if you ever see the news go, he had sovereign citizen beliefs. Okay. You ever see citizens doing that? Being called that on the news? That was an SPLC hit. That murder will be linked directly to them. Doesn't matter what it is. All right. SPLC deliberately mischaracterized our work to validate its discredited hate group label, cobbling together a series of false claims and distortions to publicly smear ADF, our clients, and any public figures with any connection whatsoever to ADF. Longtime ACLU president Nadine Strossen is one of the several voices on the left who have pushed back. I consider ADF to be a valuable ally on important issues of common concern and a worthy adversary, not an enemy, on important issues of disagreement. What I do is not considered to be, considering the full scope of its work, is a hate group. Okay? Now, SPLC has never said what a hate group is. They've never done that. They just said, here's our hate map. These are the people that hate. Give us some money. They go around, force people to give them money. When DOJ went in there and started, when we were coming after them for human rights by the government of the United States of America, okay, when we were doing that, Department of Justice comes in and starts coddling them. oh, come on in under our wing. And then they start advocating that the person that was in charge of it and everything is just awesome. They're just lovely, lovely people. So what does that tell you? The DOJ is involved in assassinating citizens. Put it together, folks. The SPLC is an assassination organization. Character assassination, they come out with anti-government. The very government that they say they're going to protect, they're tearing it apart by violating its Fourth Amendment. Rampantly violating Fourth Amendment. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of violations. But what does DOJ come in? Hey, we like your organization. You guys are effective as what? Political assassins. You've even turned the police into political assassins, and they don't even know it. That's how stupid they are. So they come in and start doing this, okay? And the no one knows really what's going on because it must be you're against the U.S. And you know, cops like to get brownie points with feds so that they can be a part of the FBI and they could really do something to help their country. All right, you'll see that. That's how they manipulate them. They manipulate them with ambition. So SPLC has hurled a number of accusations at ADF in an attempt to validate its hate group label, but each allegation has been false. We debunk a few of SPLC's myths below. Now, SPLC has come after them so bad that they have to write a whole page to defend themselves. These people have never been put on trial. There's no official accusation whatsoever. There is no, what do you call it? A jury. There's no grand jury indictment, nothing. And SPLC comes after them because they don't give them money and don't support their beliefs and their mafia thing. And they're not into politically assassinating people that they don't like. So they must be a hate group. So throw the hate group out there. And then all of the allies that they've already threatened into supporting SPLC through the where? DOJ and supporting the Department of Justice who assassinates people. Okay. Through SPLC. There you go. All right. ADF believes that all people are made in the image of God, that everyone is worthy of dignity and respect. Okay, that's the exact opposite of what SPLC wants to hear. Number one, they don't want to hear about our Father in heaven. They don't want to hear about Jesus. They don't want to hear about any of that. Okay, what they want to know is, are you going to pay us? We live high on the hog and do what we do. Do you want to pay us? If you don't want to pay us, then we put you on the DOJ terrorist watch list so that the next time you get involved with police and they find out you're on a terrorist watch list, you got 15 cops around you getting ready to give you what they call conflicting orders. Put your hands on the wheel, roll your window down. Put your hands on the wheel, roll your window down. If you don't put your hands on the wheel, we're going to shoot you. Now roll the window down. If you take your hands off the wheel to roll the window down, they shoot you. Those are called political assassins. And to remember, we said that we went after, they said that the Reign of the Heaven Society went after the Satanic Temple and said, we're gonna kill you. You know, the sentence is up to, we didn't say that. Okay, nothing was said like that. Okay, what it was is, well, I don't even have to defend it. Y'all can go look at it. But it came from the government of the United States of America. So anything towards the human rights, even though the Satanic Temple is going around and starting killing children now through abortion, through religious abortion, it's called a religious ritual. Since they're doing that, that's what SPLC wanted, more death. Okay. Now, ADF believes that all people are made. All right. Now, while ADF takes legal and policy positions that are informed by a biblically based understanding of marriage, homosexuality, and the sanctity of life, we understand and respect the fact that others have different views than we do. Yeah, I do too, and they end up burning. We get that. I don't want to be associated with that in any way, and I don't think anybody else does. Okay, I don't think a lot of people do. That's been shoved down your throat from the top. Hell, Putin said that. He says, it sounds like to me that they're forcing this from the top down. For example, whenever ADF earns a legal victory for free speech, it does more than just ensure our clients can choose what to say and not to say. Victories for free speech also ensure our opponents are free to express their beliefs, and that right is just as important. I realize what ADF is doing here, but they're not getting the point. The point is they're going to take you out if you don't join them. They want your clients. They want to have control of your clients. They want your whole organization to work for them. And I'm talking about the DOJ through SPLC, and you can actually trace it all the way back to the Pentagon. That's what they do. They assassinate people that don't go along with them. That's how wicked it is, and that's the way it is. All right, ADF supports and recriminalization of homosexuality. ADF has never supported the passage of laws criminalizing homosexuality. ADF condemns enforced sterilization of any person. The SPLC began spreading this lie following ADF International's legal brief supporting the rights of European countries to establish their own laws instead of having their laws dictated by international courts acting outside their jurisdiction. The brief that had nothing to do with the forced sterilization, but that didn't stop SPLC from publishing this myth. Y'all get what's going on? This is how they take people down. The John Birch Society is like the worst when it comes to those two. SPLC and John Birch Society, man, they have been lifelong enemies, hate each other with a passion. They've been SPLC's been trying to take down John Birch Society forever. Actually accusing the John Birch Society of what SPLC is. It's amazing to watch. Now, watch how they go in their website and watch how they try to assassinate organizations. They use a couple of throwaway organizations, like little we call them, Ku Klux Klan groups, white supremacy groups. Most of those groups are like 5 people. Nobody really does that or follows that crap anymore. I was on a group in Telegram and had a guy who was an anti-Jew guy. Okay. He got knocked off the group. So did I. But because I kept telling him, don't be doing that. This was in the beginning of Hamas and all that. Okay. I'm not for or against Jews. I just don't want to hear it all that. Jews suck. This guy sucks. I don't want to hear, Jesus being made fun of. I don't want to hear the Father being made fun of and being disrespectful and blaspheming and all this kind of crap. Just didn't want to listen to it. It's really non-productive. I met some people where I used to live that all they did was the N-word all day. I was like, God, man, would you just stop? Just have a conversation about something else. It's just in me to do that. I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm a great guy and I'm perfect. I'm not saying that at all. And I really don't care what people think about me. All right, so just realize that. It only matters what one man thinks about, nobody else. That's the way that works. Now, myth. ADF is trying to stop people who identify as LGBT from adopting children or providing foster care. Uh-huh. All right, yeah, you want to do that. Have defended will continue to defend the rights of faith-based foster care and adoption agencies to operate according to their beliefs. There you go. They want them, they got to take them out. If it's not evil and all that, SPLC wants nothing to do with it. Okay? So you have to realize that this is who that organization is. who Southern Poverty Law Center really is. It's an assassination organization. They politically assassinate people that they don't agree with. And it's all by the blessing of the Department, directly by the blessing of the Department of Justice. They've been killing citizens for years. And it's all done through traffic stops. And I found later on that they've been using devil worshiping organizations to get it done because they don't mind shooting and killing people. So they'll make devil worshippers cops, and then they'll tell them who needs to get hit next. And it's usually through traffic stops. So if you hear a police officer calling you a sovereign citizen, that means you've been marked for death. That's what it means. They're going to mark you for death. In other words, they're going to put you in this group. If you start fighting for your own rights, that's what they do. Just accept it. However, the way to fight that is to put an affidavit in for attempted murder by the police officer. I don't even care if you use this show to do it. I don't care. I've been fighting these people for years, and they have had my life under threat since 2010. So I get it. If you hear a cop saying that, you've been marked. They're going to get you one way or another. Because what they do is they'll go in, and since they have connections, the police are able to put in profiles completely against the Fourth Amendment. They're able to go in and put that kind of crap into your records. The next time a cop pulls you over, he's going to go, "Oh, sovereign citizen." So they've all listened to SPLC because because SPLC is always right? Because he's a fellow cop. That's the chief. That's why he's always right, because cops never lie to other cops ever, right? Then they'll wait. If he's sitting there waiting, okay, that's when you need to start worrying. Because if he's waiting 5-10 minutes, and then all of a sudden you'll see another cop come back, they'll come in the back of the first cop that's got you pulled over. That's his traffic stop. If they come in the back real slow, they just have lights on. And then you have others coming around, you start looking around. Okay. Be extremely careful, do exactly what they say, because they're waiting to see what you're going to do. If you're going to put your hand in the wrong place, or if you're going to do something so they're able to shoot you, because they are told that you want to assassinate them and their families. That's what SPLC tells them, and they believe it because of one incident. And that's it. One incident where a kid does it, who's 16 years old, 16 or 17. Then they murder the kid at Walmart instead of, he didn't get any trial. They just shot the whole car up with bullets. That's all they did. And they even tried to surrender. They were running because cops were shooting at them. But, I get what it is. I get that. They killed one of theirs, so they're going to get their revenge. And that's what cops do. Everybody knows that. If you ever shot one, you're not going to jail. You're going to get killed. They're going to murder you. It's called revenge. And that's how that's how they operate. I'm not trying to demonize police. Okay. I'm saying that this is a concerted effort because this political organization is within the United States, and it's called the Totalitarian Party. Okay. I'm going to give you that definition, and then we're going to go ahead and end the T Row Show for this week. Okay, so here it is right here. This is in their titles, Title 8, Section 1101 definitions, if you ever want to look it up. Okay. I showed this to, now these are the people that went around and killed cops. They did this for like a year because of George Floyd. And I told them it was to get rid of all the good ones. They were going behind their back. They were walking up to police officers, and a lot of this didn't hit the news. They were walking up to police officers, just shooting them in the back of the head, murdering them. I told them they were going to do this because I warned about the Totalitarian Party back in 1998. I even showed the Attorney General of Kentucky, his office. Here, look, this is in the United States. But when these guys start operating openly, you're doomed, man. You're going to be done. You're going to communism. So the term totalitarian party means an organization which advocates the establishment in the United States of a totalitarian dictatorship or totalitarianism. That's SPLC, folks. They're a part of the totalitarian party because whatever they say goes, right? And they're able to break all the laws. They sit there and classify people as sovereign citizens who do not like federal law, and they don't follow federal law. They don't follow the Fourth Amendment. They give nay damn about your rights, and they assassinate people. They use police officers to do it, and whoever figured that out and how to get that done, well, he should have used his talents for something else. Okay. Now it says the terms totalitarian dictatorship and totalitarianism, it's right here, refer to the systems of government not representative in fact. What does that mean? That means you never voted them in. That's the World Economic Forum. You never voted them in, but yet they use a different flag, and they've dictated to everybody that everybody's going to respect that flag. They don't use the stars and stripes. Okay, we all know what they use. For the systems of government not representative in fact means they were never voted in, characterized by the existence of a single political party organized on a dictatorial basis. That's from the top down, from the White House all the way down. Okay, the White House is a part of this party, always has been, with so close an identity between such party and its policies and the governmental policies of the country in which it exists, that the party and the government constitute an indistinguishable unit, and the forcible suppression of opposition to such party. So, what was going on with that group? Well, they were in opposition of the party. So, SPLC was called in and said, oh, we got to do the forcible suppression. We got to suppress them. By what? Calling them bigots. Oh, they're bigoted. They're racist. Blah blah blah. D'Angelo was the one that went around and pushed all this racial stuff and started making white people a target, that everybody was a racist, no matter what. If you were white, you were a white supremacist. As simple as that. That's what she was saying. So she went around and tried everybody, put them on trial. Nobody caught it. We did. We got her for human rights violations and the attempted genocide of people of a particular race, but she's protected by the totalitarian party. That's why she was allowed in all the universities to give these classes. And she was very manipulative about it. She's a very hateful woman, incredibly hateful. She's got hate spewing out of her pores. And I know she does nothing but do things for evil. She could care less about anybody else but herself. So we have that right there. That's the totalitarian party. And then I think they have a dictatorship. Totalitarian refers to a system of government. Yeah. All right, hold on one second. There is a totalitarian dictatorship definition that you need to know. It's the same thing. Okay. All right, you're going to get a real good picture now of what's going on, hopefully. And it's right there in front of your face. The term world communism means a revolutionary movement, the purpose of which is to establish eventually a communist totalitarian dictatorship. Now, if they were going to say, hey, our world government's going to be a communist totalitarian dictatorship, does everybody want to join? No, communists are just nothing but criminals that threaten people into submission. That's all they are, under the threat of death. That's all they do. They're thugs. Not more to it than that. It says they want a totalitarian dictatorship in any or all of the countries of the world who are of a national or international renown. In the, oh, I'm sorry. Geez, I went ahead and skipped. Through the medium of an internationally coordinated communist political movement. Okay, so that's what you're witnessing right now. Their new world order, okay, is nothing more than a communist world dictatorship, and they're using Israel to do it. Bring that back to the other T Rose show, where we talk about the Zionist movement going on during the Gaza Strip and all that. The Zionist movement. Jews are not the chosen people, folks. We told people that because they denied Jesus. So it's the world Zionists that are putting that together, who are using them to bring about a communist totalitarian dictatorship and a totalitarianism. They believe in that. Same group of people. And they're the ones that run DOJ, the Department of Justice of the United States. They're the ones that are going after Trump, trying to stop him, which I really don't believe that. As far as I think Trump has a little bit to do with it. I think they're just playing the show, but you know, it is what it is. It might be true, it might not be. I'm not sure. That part I don't know. Trump's kind of hard to figure out. And that's what they're doing with SPLC and other organizations. Anti-Defamation League, what? Oh, joined SPLC because they were threatened. And that goes right back to Hillary, Bill, Schumer, Pelosi, all them, the J6 deal, all that crap. Every bit of it is done by the same exact people. And what a lot of people didn't realize is what was supposed to happen is Hillary was supposed to be in as president. That's what she was. That's what she was promised. That's why she's so mad. She got screwed over by somebody somebody in there stopped it. I don't know what they did, but Bill was supposed to be in a high level at the United Nations. So you were going to have probably a nightmare scenario that no one would ever recover from with those two. Her as U.S. president and him as a head of the United Nations. Can you imagine how much corruption would be going on? They would be selling the offices like crazy, selling access. Well, if you give us a loan over there, then we can go ahead and we can talk. Put 100,000 in the foundation, and you'll have my ear. That's how they operate. That's how Biden's operating now. It's been the same scenario over and over. They sell political offices that they're into, that they somehow got voted into, and nobody really seems to figure out who's controlling the votes. But you know, is what it is. Thanks for listening to the T Rose Show number 8. I hope you learned something. And I hope that something comes of this that is more positive and towards the people, because when you realize that SPLC is in fact a political assassination organization, either run by the CIA, DOJ, one of those two. I know the DOJ does, but who ran them? That's the whole thing. It might be the CIA behind them. You will realize that you are in fact in a full communist government and a full communist organization, a full communist country. They just haven't told you yet. They're just running it as a communist country. So believe it or not, you're in communism and have no clue. Or you have seen it and just don't believe it. You're like, am I really seeing that? You never know. But thanks for listening to the T Rose Show, and we will see you next week.